know, if you want to sit up on a chair, get your feet hips distance apart and parallel. And if you're on the floor, whatever feels good for your hips, whether you stretch your legs out, well, that's worse, or let yourself sit cross-legged. Just be mindful. Close your eyes. Let yourself just start to settle in, feeling your sitting bones. You might even rock a little bit back and forth to find your sitting bones and start to feel equally grounded through your sit bones and lengthen up through the top of your head. And then just watch your breath in and out through your nose. Don't force anything. Just let yourself accept your breaths. You can feel your breath coming into your belly, feeling your belly expand a little bit as you breathe in. And then let's release our arms on out beside us here now. And we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands right down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right on up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. Good. And let's inhale the right arm out and up. Bring the arm across your chest and kind of just hook the hand right over the top of your shoulder. And then just tilt your right ear towards your right shoulder so you can feel the weight of your hand there. Feel even the weight of your arm, and let yourself just release away from that hand, and try to imagine that the hand there is just allowing you to release a little deeper in the top of your shoulder there. One more breath. And then rising the head on back up, we're going to lower our arm on down, and we're going to bring the other arm across. So bringing your left arm across, and again, just finding a real easy way to hook your hand there over the top of your shoulder. And then tilt your left ear towards your left shoulder so that, again, you feel the weight of your arm, the hand there, right there where you're really focusing on releasing there in the top of your shoulder. And of course in the side of your neck. One more breath. And then slowly coming on back up, and we'll bring our arm on down. If you're in your chair, you might want to come a little forward. We're just going to circle a little bit with our torso, keeping the back nice and long. Starting to move with the breath. Let your exhales bring you forward, and your inhales bring you back. Doesn't have to be big. It can be really small, where you don't even come very far forward or very barely shift to the side and back again, or you might want to get bigger and bigger. And when you're ready to stop in reverse directions, you stop where you choose and just let yourself go off in the other direction. The next time that you come forward, go ahead and stay forward. It can be just a little bit. You're more than welcome to go deeper, farther forward in your seated forward bend, hands to the floor if you're on the floor, or farther out. Just be mindful, feel how your back feels, your hips. Let your head, if possible, release a little bit so you feel really released in your neck. You might even want to turn your head a little bit side to side. Good. And then we'll come on back with our head to center. We're going to come on back up to sitting, and let's inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead, and let our exhale bring our hands right down together in front of our hearts. And we're going to stretch our legs out. Remember which leg you have in front. Those of you who are cross-legged, so you can move through your feet and your ankles a little bit. Just play around, do a little foot dance there. And when you get ready to recross your legs, switch to cross your legs so you have the other one in front, and those of us in the chair will just bring our feet on back. And then from here, let's bring our arms on out beside us. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, twist to our right. Bring ourselves on around into twist. So lengthening upward, feel your feet in the floor. Feel your chin parallel to the floor. Really feel that sense of pressing down gently into your feet, whatever part of your feet are touching. Feel how your belly engages. One more inhale. And on the exhale, come on back around through center, and we're going to stop at center and take a nice breath. And on the exhale, we're going to twist to the other direction. So it doesn't matter where you bring your hands, you all know that. Let your arms come down so you're released in your shoulders, and let yourself feel that sense of the sitting bones drawing down. Good, one more breath. And then use your belly to bring yourself back around into center. And let's inhale our arms straight out from our shoulders. And then as you exhale, bring your hands together so that it's like your tips of your middle fingers are touching. Your hands are resting right there, chest level, like you're sitting on a cabinet there in front of you. And then from there, go on in towards letting the backs of your hands start to come gently together. Now you're not pushing hard, right? We're going to start to circle our hands around, but keep them connected. So you feel your wrist in a little bit different way when you have that connection of keeping the hands together as you circle. And don't think too much about, how you're doing it. Just let your hands circle and let it feel that little connection stay there. And just keep circling. Just let yourself feel easy about moving through your wrists, your hands. When you're ready to stop in reverse directions, you stop wherever you choose, and just let the circles come the other way. And again, just be easy with it. There's no right or wrong. Let yourself feel your hands and your wrists. Good. And then finish off to have your hands back at your heart, into your prayer hands. Spread your fingers wide. Feel those fingers gently connecting, lifting up through the crown of your head. Feel that little engagement of the low belly. And then we'll unfold our arms on down beside it, shake everything out. We're going to come on around towards our hands and knees. So if you do not want to be on your knees, don't be on your knees. Grab a blanket or, stand up and have your hands up higher on your chair. Or you can have your hands on your thighs, remember. You can do cat-cow like this with your hands on your thighs. That feels good too. So just get situated. When you start moving through, take your time, and stopping in cat or cow feels really good to you. You can spend as long as you want in either cat or cow, right? Or you can let yourself just flow continuously between your cat and your cow. So you want two things. You want to really be aware of feeling good when you get into one of the poses, but you also want to feel good about that flowing between the poses, right? So just enjoy. Wake up your spine. If you feel a little stiff in some places, just kind of breathe your way through it, Good. And then we'll finish off the one that we're on. Come back to more neutral spine here. And we're going to step our left foot forward and then our right foot back to come into lunge. And you know how long of a stance you take is totally up to you. Just be mindful of that front knee, bent no farther forward than your ankle. Opening up the back of your right leg. If it's possible for you to float your left hand up to your thigh there, do it. If that's too much, don't do it. We'll bring our hands down if they were up, and we're going to switch legs. So again, you might start with a little bit of a shorter stance, really just kind of giving yourself time to wake up into your legs and your hips. If the right hand wants to come up and rest above your knee there on your thigh, you can. You know how your belly is engaging. Let yourself enjoy opening the back of that left leg. Good. We're going to switch legs again. So the second time, you may decide, well, I'd like to go just a little bit longer back with my foot, a little bit longer stance. Maybe when you lift the hand up this time, you can decide that it feels really different already, right? So already starting to get a lot warmer in the legs and the hips. And we're going to bring our hands down if they were up. We're going to switch our legs out again. So again, it may be the same exact length of stance, or you may want to go a little bit longer. Stepping back a little farther, and then you decide about bringing your hand up, right hand above the thigh, on the thigh there above the knee. Good. And then we're going to step forward and come on into our standing forward bend. And adjust however you need. If your back feels iffy this morning, I don't know about you all, but not to brag, but I took down my inside Christmas decorations this weekend. So my body feels a little bit different today than it has in the past. Up and down ladders and reaching and, so if that's the case, just be mindful. Let yourself stay up higher if you need to in a forward bend. Give the back and the backs of the legs time to adjust. Use blocks if you want to on the seat of your chair, if that feels even better. And just enjoy. Feel the weight of your head. Let your face soften. Feel those full, deep breaths coming in, expanding the ribs. And imagine your breath is coming in and out through both sides of your nose. Imagine it being equal too. And from here, we'll let our hands come up to our hips and bend our knees and rise on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And as our exhale brings our hands down, we'll come into our mountain pose, thinking of the top of the head getting up towards the ceiling. Feeling our feet equal in the floor. Good. And then lift your elbows up just a little bit. Feel your hands a little more firmly together. And then softly let the elbows come back down again. And let's unfold our arms right on down beside us and inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend our knees, coming forward from the hips into that standing forward bend. And let your next inhale help you find that long, flat back. So it doesn't matter where your hands are, your legs, your chair, your blocks. And we'll step the right foot back and come into our lunge. Start pressing the feet a little more away from each other. Feel that engagement up into your hips. And inhale, and exhale into your downward facing dog pose. And you all know your down dog is your choice, whether your hands are up on blocks or on the chair or on the floor. Spread your fingers as wide as you can. I know it's different on the blocks. Hug your elbows towards each other a little bit. And walk your dog. Just really easily bend one knee at a time. If it feels better to bend both knees at the same time to find that length of your spine, by all means do it. And on the next inhale, we'll come out towards a plank. So as you make your way on out towards your plank, you can put your knees down if you feel better to do that, or you can come onto your forearms, get out of your hands. Find that strength of the plank pose there. You can always bend your elbows a little if you really want to feel your arms, your biceps, your shoulders a little more. Good. And then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. And let's bring our right foot forward to come into lunge. So if you need to put your left knee down, or if you need to come up and then back down into the lunge, do. And then we'll step all the way back into standing forward bend. And let your knees soften here. Feel your feet in the floor equally. And get comfortable in your upper body. In other words, whatever form of support you need, whether it's elbows above the knees, or maybe you like to let yourself put your hands on your blocks or your chair. And just be mindful. Go right to those breaths and really imagine what's happening as you breathe in and out. How your lungs, right? How would your lungs look as you breathe in and out? Imagine you're breathing into your lungs equally even, right? From the bottom to the top. And then we'll let our hands come on up to our hips as we bend our knees and rise on up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale our hands right on up through the midline. And as we exhale, open the arms like wings and come on forward into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that flat back, whether your hands are on the chair, the blocks, or your legs. And this time, left foot will step back to come into lunge. Drawing those shoulders down, letting yourself press the feet away from each other like you're trying to lengthen your mat. Feel how that feels into your hips and into your belly and your back too. And we're going to step into downward facing dog pose from here. So again, be mindful how your shoulders feel. Let yourself be easy about reaching back through your tailbone. Find all that length in your spine. And then we'll come on out and forward towards a plank. Again, how far you go, up to you. Knees down if you'd rather. Go to your forearms if your wrists bother you. You can stay in your plank feeling really strong there in the core body, reaching your sitting bones down towards your heels. You can do push-ups if you want. And then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. And this time we'll bring our left foot forward and through. Find that lunge. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend again. Take your time to be in your standing forward bend with ease, right? Whatever support you need. If you like to hold your elbows, go for it. If you know your back needs support, let yourself find what works best. And then just accept. Breaths as full and deep as you can. And thinking about your inhales and exhales being fairly close to the same length. Good, so one more breath here. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips. We're going to press into our feet and rise on up. And inhale our arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's unfold our arms and let's inhale our right arm all the way out and up overhead. And then from here, just let yourself bend both elbows and the hands can come wherever they want behind you. Don't force anything. And then just stretch the arms back long again. So the left fingertips face down and the right arm is up. And then again, just bend those elbows. Put the hands somewhere back there behind you. And then lengthen out one more time. And then we're going to switch. So we're going to bring that left arm up and bring the right arm down. And then again, when you bend the elbows, you kind of put the hands as much as you can, however much you can, on your back there where it feels good, and then we'll extend back into long arms. And then one more time, bending the elbows, bringing the hands back where we can. Keeping that gaze forward. Good, and then bringing the arms back long. Let's bring the arms up into a wide open V. Turn your pinkies towards each other. Feel your shoulders release down. Look up if you can. And then as you exhale, bend your knees and come on forward into your standing forward bend. On your next inhale, find that flat back. Sometimes just putting your hands on your shins gives you that length through the back there. And we're going to come into down dog, whether you like your hands to be on your chair or your blocks or the floor. Reaching back into your dog. And on your next inhale, come on out to plank. You know a back bend is totally optional here. You can stay in your plank. You don't have to go to any back bend. You can come through for an up dog or a cobra, or you can come down and go onto your forearms for a sphinx if you want to. And then we'll come on back into down dog. So be mindful, ease through your dog, walk if you need, let yourself, if you want to bend your knees, turn your head side to side. A little bit of movement sometime in dog feels really good. Good. Come on back, and we're going to come on out to that plank again. And again, it is totally optional whether you want to do a back bend or not. You can stay in your plank. You can move down and onto your forearms for sphinx, or you can come to a cobra or an up dog. And then we'll make our way again back into downward facing dog pose. Good. And let's bring our right foot forward to find lunge. Pressing those feet gently away from each other, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears, and feeling that openness here in the legs and the hips. And we'll come forward, back to standing forward bend. So check out your feet. Be mindful. Bend the knees a little bit if you need. If you know you need support, use it. And then let go through your face. Let your face relax. Really imagine relaxing all around your eyes and your mouth. And then we'll bring our hands on up to our hips. Press into our feet as we come on up to standing. And we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And then unfold your arms, and for a second, just let your hands clasp back here behind you. Feel really open across your chest. And then just slide your hands to the right. And you might be able to fold your left forearm onto your low back. And then see if you can squeeze your right palm into your left. And if any of this hurts your shoulder, don't do it, right? So I'm just squeezing my palms together, squeezing, even feeling my fingers squeezing together a little bit, feeling it up into my biceps. Remember, try to let your tailbone reach downward. Don't tuck it up under you. Try to keep that lift to the belly as well. And then we're going to come back through center with that, and we're just going to switch to the other side. So once the forearm comes over, if you can squeeze those palms, left palm's just really squeezing into the right. Fingers are squeezing together, feeling your biceps. Good, and then we're going to release and bring the hands on back down to center. Take a breath here. See if you can come into a three-part breath. Inhaling into your belly and then into your ribs and then up into your chest. Feeling that movement too as you exhale of the breath coming out of the chest and then the ribs and then the belly. So very full deep breaths, and when you can feel the actual movement of the body as you take these breaths. And then let yourself release your arms on down beside you. Shake out a little bit, move around however you need to. And we're going to come into some warriors. So let's turn our chair around so the back of the chair faces us. We're going to come into warrior one first. So and have your blocks handy by the front of your mat. Step your right foot back And get your stance as wide as you need to feel very stable. It's facing front of your mat here, shoulders square, so that you feel comfortable too about the alignment of this back foot. So the heel is hiking back a little bit. You have a 20, 30 degree turnout there. And then just for a second, bring your hands to your heart. Let yourself feel your shoulders over your hips. Actually, for a second, do this. Lean forward a little bit so you feel, well, that certainly isn't shoulders over hips. It actually feels pretty good in the legs. Then come back up to the top again. So you know that, okay, I'm not forward. I'm definitely not back either, right? You don't want to be back. You want to feel really good about that being right there centered. And then we'll release our arms on down. And first, all we're going to do is inhale our arms forward and up. Now, you can widen them if you need to. One breath here. And now, the next exhale, lower the arms right back down where they came. Right the path they came up, let them come right back down. And now we're going to do that again, but we're going to circle. We're going to inhale the arms out and up overhead. And we're going to circle them around behind us and let them release back down as we exhale. And then we're going to circle the arms forward and up. And once they get up this time, we're going to bring our hands together, clasp them, and put them right behind our head. So now you're still looking forward. You're going to press your head gently into your hands. When you do that, you feel how you fire up in your belly and your low back and your hips. Press your feet away from each other if you want even more stability there. And then try to keep your hands together and rise them up. Now, if you can send your pointer finger up, do. If you need to bring your arms forward, do. But at this point, think of your elbows hugging in a little towards your head. And this might be enough. Now, if you really think about feeling what's happening here, the belly is so lifted, and there's such a lift through both sides of your body here. If you'd like to look up a little bit, you can, but it's not necessary. So feel the feet in the floor pressing gently away from each other. Let yourself enjoy your warrior one. One more breath. And then we're going to release. Let our arms float on down beside us. And we're coming down to lunge, bringing our hands down, maybe to the chair mat, maybe to the chair seat. Maybe you want to go down to your blocks. So finding your lunge here. And then we're going to add a twist, bringing the left hand to the left hip and rolling that left shoulder up. And you can put your palm flat down on your sacrum there. Just make sure you're not dropping way into that long right side of your body. Trying to be fairly level. You're welcome to lift that arm up if you want. So you can keep the hand down or you can lift the arm up. And then we'll come on back with our hand down to lunge. And we're going to adjust into a pyramid pose here. So for a lot of us, we might need to shorten the stance, right? Pulling that right foot up to where the heel comes to the floor and the right foot is still turned out 20 or 30 degrees. Feel your thighs lifting up towards your hips. Let yourself enjoy opening up through the backs of the legs. So really that engagement of thighs lifting up, creating space in your knees is what is so important in this pose. Now you're more than welcome to go farther forward if you like to. If you like to fold a little bit over that front leg, you can. You can go as far over the leg as you want. Good. One more breath. And then from here, we're going to bend the front knee. We're going to rise back up to warrior one. So really feel as you bring yourself on up to standing, that core strength, bringing you back to hands to your heart. Coming into warrior one. And then we're going to release. We're going to step forward from here. All we're going to do is switch legs. Right away, we're going to warrior one on the other side. So you can use your chair. You can let yourself get your feet a little wider if you want. Remember, getting your shoulders square to the front edge of your mat. And then once you bring your hands to your heart here, remember, you want to be comfortable in that back leg. So just be mindful. You want the foot on the floor. You want the arch lifting up. And again, if you feel like leaning forward a little bit, that kind of tells you, if I lean forward, I certainly don't have the same stability. But also, when you come back upright, really think about right here. The belly, the low back, and the hips being what's keeping you here in the pose. We're going to unfold our arms down beside us. The first one, we're just going to inhale the arms forward and up. Take a breath there. You can let them be as wide as you want. One more inhale. And as you exhale, follow the path back down that the arms came up. Let them come on back down. Now we're going to do the big circle. We're going to inhale the arms forward, bring them up over the top, and exhale as they come down the back of the body. Letting yourself enjoy opening across your chest there, staying firm in your belly. Inhale, keep going the arms up overhead. Bend your elbows, clasp your hands, put those hands right at the back of your head, and now just press gently into your hands. Also press your feet away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer. And maybe a little wobbling, yeah? That core body is taking over here though. Finding that strength. Now, totally up to you as you lift your hands back up. If you send your pointer finger up, hug your elbows in. You can always keep the elbows bent. If it doesn't feel good in your shoulders, don't do this one. Or bring them forward, right? So be where you can. Feel that uplift in the front of the body. One more breath. And then as your gaze comes forward, your arms release on down. We're going to find our lunge here by bringing our hands down. Now remember, most people want to kind of lengthen their lunge out after this, but that's up to you so that you have that heel reaching directly behind your foot. Bringing the right hand onto the right hip and rolling that shoulder up into twist. You can keep your hand right there on your sacrum. You can stretch your arm up if you want to. So enjoy finding that length through the body here. Think about how long your spine is, how much space is in your spine. Good. We're going to bring that hand right on back down, and we're going to come into pyramid. Remember, so most of us for this one, if you were in a longer stance, have to pull that back foot in a little bit and shorten the stance to get the heel down. So the arches of both feet are lifting up. The four corners of both feet are reaching down. You can lengthen out over that front leg. You can stay up high. You don't have to go any lower if you don't want. If you're like, oh, I like to come a little more over the leg, you can put your hands to blocks or just go down with your hands on the seat of the chair if you want. Just take your time. Let it feel good. Really feeling the backs of those legs there. One more breath. Good. Now we're going to try to get back to warrior one. So this is actually hard. So bending that front knee and trying to think about using the core of your body to bring you back up. And it's really a hard motion, right? Bringing yourself on back up, especially if you didn't have the chair back there. Good. And from here, we're going to step forward and let ourselves just walk around our mat a little bit. Move through your feet and your ankles if you need to. And if you want to turn to the top of your toes, do. Good. And I'm going to keep my chair turned this way. We're coming into warrior two this time. We're going to step our right foot back, line our heels up. Remember, whether your feet are 2 feet or 3 feet or 4 feet apart, it is that important alignment of that knee there where you feel like you've got the knee coming out over the center of your foot there. And we're going to rise the arms on up and out. Let your hands come higher than your shoulders. Feel your shoulders melt down. And then bring the hands just down enough to where you can look really easily out over the top of that left hand. Imagine looking over it, but then out and beyond the wall. So you feel like you're looking through the wall, really. One more breath here, feeling those feet equal in the floor. And we'll turn that left palm up, bring your right hand to your right leg, slide the right hand down a little bit, and stay right there to breathe into your left side. And on the exhale, we're going to come into side angle. So bringing either your hand or your forearm to your thigh or your chair. And you can decide about adding that top arm up. Now remember, it's not about going low. It's about keeping the length of your spine. And not rounding in the underside of the body, but instead staying long through both sides of your body. Good. One more breath. And we're going to come on back to warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And now bring your hands down. Let's turn our feet more parallel. And don't come forward yet, but grab your blocks to have there. But then come on back up, right? Get your feet parallel as wide as you like them, at least a little wider than your shoulders if you can. And then bring your arms on up into a wide V. Turn the palms now to face each other. Let yourself just enjoy. Feel like the giant letter X there. And then lower your left arm down, and we're going to reach through the right side of the body. Let yourself come over into side stretch. Slide your left hand down a little bit, but it still supports you. Breathing into that right side. And then we'll come on back up. We're going to switch arms. And as we come up with the left arm, we're going to slide the right hand down the outside of the leg a little bit. Breathe into the left ribs. Good, and then we're going to come on back up. We're going to bend our knees and start to head forward into our standing, wide-legged standing forward bend. So take your time here. Once you get your hands onto a surface, go ahead and adjust your feet if you need. Bend a knee at a time if that helps you to adjust. And let the body kind of take over to do what it needs to do to be more comfortable. And then come on back into center and let yourself find a nice long flat back. So your hands are either on the blocks or the floor, but they're underneath you, so their hands are under your shoulders and your back is flat like a tabletop. And now from here, press your feet away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. Doesn't matter whether your knees are bent or straight, but your spine now is really long. You're reaching back through your tailbone. Think of your head being a part of your spine. Good, one more breath. And then set yourself up where you need to be to stay in this pose. If you like to stay with that longer back where we just were, sometimes just stacking the blocks up on top of each other and putting your elbows on them will help you keep that long back. And if you'd rather go upside down, you're more than welcome to just let your hands come down, let the top of the head come down towards the floor. You can have your hands wherever you're comfortable to be. And then just accept your breaths. Let yourself watch your breaths coming in and going out. Let it feel very easy to allow that motion to happen in the body when you breathe in and out. One more nice full deep breath. And it'll be really easy as you start to think of coming up. You get up however feels good. You know, feet can change to get closer before you rise up. Be really mindful once you do get up there. Move around a little bit. Good. We're going to head to the other side. So stepping that left foot back for warrior two now. And lining up your heels, getting yourself really comfortable there with that alignment there of that front knee. Remember, there's like a line that's drawn from your back heel to your front heel. The heels are about in a line. And then start to reach your arms on up, higher than your shoulders, both of them. Think about the left one being higher too. Let your shoulders melt down. And when you lower your hands down and start to look out over the top of that right hand, there's this place where it doesn't feel wrong in your neck, right? Or you're not here, but you also don't want to be here, right? You want to be looking out just over the top of the hand and let it feel really good in your neck. Feel your feet in the floor. Feel that strength and power of your warrior two. Imagine you're looking beyond the wall. And we'll lower our left arm down. We're going to turn our right palm up and inhale and reach up. Nice full breath into the right side now. Really imagine those fingertips are almost reaching the ceiling. One more breath. And on the exhale, we'll come into that side angle, whether you either put your hand or your forearm on your thigh or your chair. And adding that left arm up into line is totally up to you. You don't need to do that. You can keep your hand on your hip. Keep that length. Good. So that you have a long spine. You're not collapsing in that underside of the body there. Beautiful. Good. One more breath. And then we'll come on back into Warrior Two. Press those feet away from each other. Feel again that strength and that power of your Warrior Two. And we're going to bring our hands down. We're going to turn our feet again. This time, though, turn your toes out a little bit. For like a goddess, right? And bend your knees a little bit. It doesn't have to be deep. You don't have to bend your knees deeply. You don't want to go to a point where you feel uncomfortable. Knees are trying to be right out over the center of your feet in your goddess pose, right? And then from there, stretch your right arm up overhead. And we're going to come over to the left and do a little side stretch here in goddess. So it's a little bit different feeling than when your knees are straight and your feet are parallel. Breathing into that right side. And then we'll come on back up. We're going to lower the right arm down. We're going to rise the left arm up. And we're going to come to that other side. So it's really like from the waist down, actually. You're very solid. You're trying to not bend one knee more than the other. You're trying to be equal between your feet, your legs, or hips. And then come on back up. Lower that arm on down. And from there, bring your arms straight out from your shoulders and then come into goddess arms where you bend your elbows to 90 degrees and your palms face forward. And now straighten up your legs as you inhale. And then when you exhale, bend your knees a little bit. Not a lot, unless you want to be sore. So inhale into straighter legs. And when you exhale, bend your knees a little bit. One more time, we're going to come up into those straighter legs. We're going to lower our arms on down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel so the toes are more forward. And we're going to make our way into that wide-legged forward bend again. So hands are going to come down again to blocks of the floor. And go ahead again, move around a little bit, bend a knee at a time. You know, maybe you even want to turn your toes out here like we were in Goddess and bend a knee at a time that way. Because that definitely gets into your legs differently. When your toes are turned outward, you might find that it feels really good. Good. Now when you finish off and you get ready to get yourself set up for the pose, go ahead and get your feet more parallel again. And then decide, do you want to put some support underneath your forearms or underneath your head? Do you want to go ahead and fold a little more forward? Let yourself even bring your hands between your feet or hold your ankles. Just be mindful. Enjoy. Feeling that release of the upper body. Whilst the lower body is certainly engaged to keep you standing up. Feel those full deep breaths, expanding your ribs as you inhale. Good, so one more nice full deep breath. And when you get ready to come up, be really mindful. You know that. Take your time. Let your hands help you up. Move your feet together more before you come up if you need. And then move around a little bit. Let yourself walk around through your feet, your ankles. Good. And now, let's leave our mats, but let's walk to a wall. We got lots of wall space, so find a space where you feel comfortable, where you can bring your left hand to the wall. You don't need to be on a mat. In fact, sometimes, I know the floor is cold, but sometimes it just feels so good to be on the floor to do a little balance pose. Let's bring our right foot in to a tree pose, either below or above your knee. It doesn't matter. You just want to make sure you feel that sense of letting yourself feel your hips squared off to the wall you're looking forward at, right? And you want that knee, I mean, nobody has 180-degree turnout. So if the knee comes way out to the side, it usually throws your hips off. So you got to zip up your belly. Think about really feeling where the hips need to be. And then go ahead and rise your left arm up the wall, right arm up too if you want. So you've got both arms up overhead. And you can let go of the wall or not, right? You can decide if you need to put your fingers back to the wall, you do it. If it feels good to find a spot to look. Remember, even if there's a little bit of movement in the body, it does not matter. There's going to be a little swaying. It's like this little constant coming back into finding the balance, and those little motions are very natural and normal. Good. And then when you're ready, let yourself release on down. We're going to turn around and put our right hand on the wall and be standing on our right foot. So again, it's that outside left foot that comes in either. And I forgot to say, you can put your heel on your inner ankle and have your toes on the floor. That's a broader base of support. And that's fun to do, right? So especially if you're struggling with balance, you can keep your toes on the floor and enjoy with the arms overhead there. Maybe that'll feel good to you rather than putting your foot up onto the inside of your calf or bringing the foot up into the inside of your thigh. So just play with it. Remember, really makes no difference if you ever let go of the wall. What you want to be able to think of doing, though, is feeling that strength of that supporting leg. One more breath there. And then let yourself release. Come on down. Bring your hands to the wall. And let's walk back to a down dog at the wall. Don't force anything. Just walk yourself back down. Try to get towards a 90-degree angle at your hip. So in other words, like if you had your hands on a kitchen cabinet at home, that's about the right height. And then what you want to think of doing, if you have to bend your knees, bend your knees. But think about flattening out your back, right? So most of us have kind of a curve up in the upper back that we don't necessarily want to keep on going with, right? So let your heart melt down towards the ground. Get this sense of as flat a back as you can find. Good. Good. And then, of course, if it bothers your hands, you can go to fists. You don't have to have your hands flat on the wall. You can go to fists so that you take out that wrist crease. Good. Nice flat backs. Nice. So do this at home, on the kitchen counter, often. Really, like every day. It's a great pose. One more breath. And then we're going to walk on back up. Turn yourself around. Shake your hands out. Come back onto your mat, and we're going to go down onto our backs, onto our bellies on our mat. So come on down, get comfortable, let yourself rest your forehead on your hands so that it feels good. You can bend your knees, you can play with do a little foot dance back there, you can let yourself just be easy. Windshield wiper blades if that feels good. Let yourself be mindful there. Good. And then let's come on to our forearms. And bend your knees. Lift yourself up into a half forearm plank. Now at first, clasp your hands all the way and lift up your hands a little off the mat. All right? Now from there, start to send your pinkies out. And now press down into the outside edge of your hands on the mat. So you're really pressing down like you're doing a karate chop. You're really pressing into the outside edges of your hands if you can. And now draw yourself towards the front of your mat. Really pull. You've pulled yourself onto the flesh above your knees. You can feel engaged definitely in your belly and your low back and your hips. Very strengthening pose. Into that forearm plank. Really keep flexing your feet. Keep pulling, keep that engagement going in the belly and the low back and the hips. One more breath. And then let yourself release on down into a Sphinx pose. So now you're on your forearms and you have your hands right forward of your shoulders, of your elbows I mean, and you're just right here open. Look down just a little forward of your hands. Good. And then just lower your head a little bit and bend your right knee. Flex through the foot. And now see what happens. And don't do it if it bothers you. See what happens when you raise your gaze back to look right a little forward of your hands. And if it's too much, go back to putting your head down to hang, all right? Because that weight, that often puts too much into people's low back. So if it's too much, don't do it. And then lower that foot down, lower your head down again, kind of let your head hang, and bend your left knee and flex the foot. Now again, if you think about bringing your head back up to look a little forward of your hands, pay attention if it hurts anything, and don't do it if it does. Keep your head down. Good. And then we're going to lower the leg on down. Good. Let's try it again. Let's bend that right knee. And now, go onto the left forearm coming parallel to the front edge of your mat. Put your head down on that forearm for a second. And you may want to stay right here. Or now, you might decide lifting your head up is easier. And some of you might even want to reach back with your right hand, and get hold of the top of your right foot. If you have your foot, you can kind of pull the heel in more towards the buttocks there a little bit. And then if you want to go up higher in a half bow, you just push the foot into your hand, which rises you up. And you can also use that front arm to give you more support if you want, and go up higher. So one more breath. And then we're going to release and let yourself come on down with your head and your leg. We're going to switch. So now you're kind of bringing that right forearm parallel to the front edge of your mat. You can let your head come down on it. Bend your left knee. You may decide you can lift your head up and be happy right there. Or your left hand might just be itching to get back there and get hold of the top of your foot. If you have the foot and you want to pull it in, you can pull the heel in towards your buttocks and get a lot more stretch there in your quad. But then if you push the foot back into your hand, which opens across the front of your chest, is a totally different stretch, right? And then, of course, you can come up higher if you want with your torso, letting yourself come up if it's comfortable to do that. Half bow pose. We're going to release on back down, and we're going to shift back towards child's pose from here, letting ourselves come up and back with our hips, and whether we stay more forward to forearms or shift the hips back towards the heels, that has totally to do with what your hips and knees allow you to do. So don't force anything. Just fine to keep your hips up in the air and just breathe into your low back there. Just enjoy nice full breaths. Good. One more breath. And for us to come up, your hands by your knees might be good assistance so that you can come on up and around with your legs. So come on around, let your legs stretch on out in front of you for a second, and take your time, move through your feet a little bit, your ankles, circle, floppy legs, even little leg bounces. Good, and then let yourself bring your feet to the floor and hold on behind your thighs. Now you might want to clasp your hands, or you might want to hold separately. That's up to you. Because as we think about leaning back a little bit and letting ourselves have our toes on the floor, we're coming into a little boat pose right here. So that's a lot right here. If your toes float up and your legs come parallel to the floor, that might be as far as you want to go. You can flex your feet. And you can press the outside edges of your big toe mounts together and be happy right there, right? You can let go of your legs if you choose to, but there's no reason to. If you feel like you can engage a little more in your belly and your back by holding on. Sometimes when I let go, I start to grip too much in the front of my hip flexors here. So sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's more fun to stay holding on and to just extend legs a little bit, or to hold my legs up higher. Sometimes it's fun trying to let myself just feel a little bit differently in the pose. So just play, boat pose. Good. One more breath. And then slowly bring your feet back down. Separate your feet wider. Bring your hands behind you. And see if you can let your knees come over to one side. And then up and over the top and over to the other. So you're using your own breath. You can inhale the knees up and exhale, let them come down. So just be mindful, let it feel good. You can go your own pace. You can stay on the side if that feels good. You can take your time about moving through. Good. And then come on back up. And we're going to let ourselves come on down onto our back. No, before you go down, no. Get both your blocks handy, just in case you want them. And then we'll come on down onto our backs on the floor. Let your feet come onto the floor as soon as you get there. And come into a couple of little pelvic tilts. So as you exhale, feel your tailbone curling up. Feel the low back coming into the floor. When you inhale, feel the tailbone reaching back down, and that natural curve comes back into the low back where it comes off the floor. So just a couple of those. Letting it feel really good. Nice. And then finish off. Come on back to more neutral spine. And now, if you're able, and I know if you really can't and know it's very uncomfortable for you to come on a block in bridge pose, don't do it. But if you can, lift yourself up and put a block lowest height right underneath where that flat part is, your sacrum, right? So your bottom's not hanging off the block. You don't want to be up high in your back with your hips hanging off. You want to be supported in that flat place there. And at the same time, you can get really comfortable sending your sits bones down just a little bit. Good. Now just play with this for a second. Let your right leg now start to extend long on the floor. Now when you do that, press into the left foot. The foot that's on the floor, press down and lengthen that right leg. Let the right toes face up. So if it's too much, like in your back, the pressure down with that left foot can often help a lot. And then from there, go ahead and bring your right foot back into the floor. And we'll do the left leg. So press into the right foot as you extend the left leg long. Let yourself just enjoy opening a little more in the front of that left hip. Good. And then bring both your feet back. Bring your arms alongside you. Let's press into our backs of our upper arms and lift up a little bit, whether we're on the floor or the block. Lifting up a little higher in towards bridge. Keep pressing into your arms. Roll your shoulders under a little if you can. And then come back down onto the block again, or the floor. And let's set up and do it one more time. So get those arms in place. You can do robot arms if you'd rather. Press into the arms and lift up. Maybe even a little bit higher if you can. Feel the back of your head into the floor. So just make sure you feel like this sense of not, crunching your chin down towards your chest. Good, and then come on back down. And now from here, if you're okay on the block, stay there. We're going to bring our right knee in towards our chest. If you need to go down to the floor and get off the block, do. And then just for fun, extend that right leg up. Now you can hold behind your thigh, and you can keep the knee bent. That's fine. You can come into straighter leg if you want. And those of you who want to extend the left leg long on the floor, even if you're on that block, you can. Which really gives you a very deep opening in the front of the left hip, the long leg, if you're on that block. And one more breath here. Good. And then bring that left foot back, put it on the floor. We're going to lower the right leg down and put that foot on the floor, so both feet are on the floor. And then we're going to bring the left knee in towards our chest. And again, you can hold behind your thigh, you can extend the leg up, it doesn't have to be straight. If letting your right leg elongate down long underneath you feels good, you can. And again, I mean, you can do that on the floor, but you can also on the block, if you do it, you can really feel that front of your right hip opening. Good. One more breath. And now we're going to bring the right foot down, bring the left foot down, put both feet down on the floor. And if you're on your block, we're all going to lift up off of it. And we're going to come on back down onto our backs on the floor, everybody. And then let's all bring our knees on into our chest. And let yourself just draw the knees in, feel the low back kind of collapsing into the ground. And then let your knees come away a little bit, stretch your arms out beside you, and let your knees start to go from side to side. Now you may want to do these little double knee twists with your feet on the floor. If that's more comfortable, put your feet on the floor first. If you'd rather just shift from side to side with your knees in towards your chest there, do it. Go at your own pace. Start to listen to your own body too. If you want to stay with your knees to one side in those twists, those double knee twists, you can just stay and let yourself release there, rather than that continuous moving back and forth, right? Only you know what feels good to you, so take your time. Maybe another twist of sorts sounds better to you too. Or maybe there's something else entirely that your body is just craving wanting to do. So by all means, if there is something else that you want to do before we get ready to settle in for Shavasana, give yourself time here to do that. Could be anything. Could be any yoga pose. It could be any way that you just want to move. Start to get all the lights, then I'll start to head on through to bring support for anyone who might like some support for getting comfortable in Shavasana, and that can mean anything. Blankets, bolsters, if you need cover for a blanket, even just for your feet, I can bring that, or if you need a little blanket for underneath your head. Take your time. So, bolster for underneath. slightest little thing that'll help you be able to release a little better and to feel more comfortable on the floor. But you know, lying on the floor is so important because the body does want to align itself, and the firmness of the floor is one of the best ways to let your body align. Feel those parts of the body that are in contact with the floor. Just enjoy having these few minutes to give your body time to get what it needs from everything we just did. And maybe accepting that your body knows something that maybe your mind doesn't. As you find those quiet places and allow yourself to receive your breaths in and out, it gives your body time to benefit however it needs. So just allow yourself these few minutes and completely and fully relax. your breaths in a little more deeply and fully. Letting those breaths bring you back now into wanting to move physically again, but just let it be really easy to start that movement with your extremities if you can, moving up into your arms, your legs. Let your body move the way it needs. You might want to let your head roll side to side. You might want to let your knees come up and in. Just be easy. And you know you're welcome to roll onto either your right or your left side. If you're comfortable to stay on your side, you can use your arm maybe as a pillow so that you can rest comfortably with your knees bent there on your side in that fetal position. And of course, when you're ready to come up to sitting, let it feel easy to start to get back up to having your head again on top. Yes, we need to let our brains be back in charge again, right? Let yourself feel that lift upward through the top of your head and feel how easy it is to breathe in and out through your nose, feeling the belly expanding a little bit as you inhale. And on your next exhale, let your hands come just gently to meet together there in front of your chest. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.
Happy Monday.
A beautiful Monday.
Yes, and it's going to be beautiful. Yesterday was pretty amazing.